This has been bugging me for quite a while over the years. And, the recent years, a lot of single player games have been ruined by being converted into multiplayer focused games. And it really does bug me. And it's not even like past franchises that are getting affected, it's even new franchises. Now, I can list a couple of games that this is happening to currently in development. Sea of Thieves. That is an open world game that I think should be able to be explored as a solo player. Yes, you can do it, but let's be honest. This game is meant to be played in multiplayer, and you have to join a server regardless. So it's an online only game, and that pisses me off even worse than multiplayer focused games. I hate online only games, and I'll get to that afterwards. But for now, I just want to talk about the focus of multiplayer over single player. Anthem. We don't know if that's even an online only game or it's not, or you can play it single player or not. We have no idea. It's probably not going to have a good story because it's, from what the looks of it, it's focused on multiplayer. Multiplayer games have shitty stories because the characters are non-existent, just about. Stories don't write themselves. You have to make good characters that make the good story. That's why Final Fantasy has some of the best stories in video games, because they have such in-depth characters and they have different perspectives on each character, and that's why Final Fantasy is one of the highly praised storytelling games, because you have great characters. You can't get that in multiplayer games. When it comes to multiplayer games, when you consider a game like, this is a classic game, this is one of like an all-time great game, you can't think of many that are focused on multiplayer. You really focused. The emphasis I'm talking about is focused. If it has a single player, yeah, it's usually judged upon its single player. You got GoldenEye, you got Halo. They're considered one of the greatest multiplayer games there is. I'll give it to them. They deserve it. Why not? It doesn't mean every single game coming out in the next 2 years has to be focused on multiplayer. I don't understand that mentality. And the problem is, multiplayer games do sell better because casual gamers are more interested in playing with their friends as opposed to trying to experience the game themselves. And I have a huge problem with that. It's such a big problem that is happening in the industry these days, because these developers, if you want to put your heart and soul into a game, you make a single player. It's that simple. If you're forced to make a multiplayer only game or focus on multiplayer, well, you can't really invest yourself into the characters that much. That's why Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Star Wars Battlefront, I think, is going to be absolute trash, because it's okay. Apparently, it's got a story. Oh, it's going to be intertwined between the multiplayer. It really is that simple. It's not going to be very good. Let's just be honest right now. It's not going to be that good. The main focus of Star Wars is its story and its lore and its characters, especially its characters, not shooting mindlessly at other players. That's not what it's about. And Star Wars is definitely not the right way to do it. You definitely don't put Star Wars as a focused multiplayer game. You focus on the story first, then you can go all out with your gameplay and stuff. And I mean, hell, this should have just been an add-on to a Star Wars game. I'm kind of just really pissed about Star Wars Battlefront. It can actually be a much better game if it actually just has a story mode or a single player. And this can be said with a lot of other games. Off the top of my head, I know there's a few games that are like this that are happening. Sea of Thieves. I keep mentioning Sea of Thieves. That was probably my most hyped game for the first year it was announced. I'm still excited for it because we haven't really seen a great pirate game. Assassin's Creed doesn't count. It's an Assassin's Creed game. I understand it's a good game, but I want a traditional pirate game that's not tied to a different franchise. And then Sea of Thieves is announced. I see it, I think, oh my god, I want to play this, I want to explore the world, I want to customize my pirate and do what the hell I want. And then updates after updates after updates, multiplayer. You have to have a crew, blah blah blah. It's it's unfair. It's unfair for the people who want to experience the game by themselves. My biggest gripe with multiplayer games, especially, you know, if you can't have a single player offline story, is that you even if you're allowed to play by yourself, in order to actually have fun playing the game, you kind of have to rely on other people. And that's the worst part about it for me. Relying on other people. I can find people to play with any multiplayer game I want, but I choose not to because I enjoy the games better by myself. And you have to find someone to actually enjoy the game how it was intended. And then they shaft everyone who likes to play by themselves. I don't know. I don't know what their mentality is. Like, if you really want to invest your heart and soul into a game, because I know there's a lot of passion behind Sea of Thieves, and I'm going to say Anthem has a lot of passion behind it too, because they abandoned Andromeda to keep working on this game. Clearly they abandoned Andromeda because, you know, that game is not good. It's that simple. They could put their heart and soul to it, but let's be honest, we got these other companies pulling the strings saying, we need to make this multiplayer because it's going to sell better to a larger audience. That's exactly... We got Microsoft. Make it multiplayer or else cancel it. EA. Make it multiplayer or else cancel it. And then the developers are stuck in a corner where we have to make this multiplayer or else, you know, they're not going to let us make the damn game. So they have to do workarounds and sort of do a different... They have to change things up. They have to change what they envisioned initially. And then that can ruin the product at the end of the day. So it is really concerning about what's happening. And especially for the future of gaming. Like, what is going to happen in the next few years? Like, this can get really bad. Oh, Beyond Good and Evil. That was the other game I wanted to mention. Beyond Good and Evil 2. The first game was a complete single-player game. Single-player offline adventure. Why on earth... You know, you can say there's not much information. They said that this is a multiplayer game. You can play it by yourself, but I can guarantee it's not going to be as fun unless you're playing online. And I have another problem with online-only games. Online-only games, you know, you have to be online to play them, obviously. And you might think, oh, well, what's the problem? You can still play the game. Well, imagine if you played all these Imagine if Super Nintendo was an online-only game. Games were online-only. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, Super Metroid, Zelda: Ocarina of Time, stuff like that. Imagine if they were locked to online. And they're completely outdated now. Imagine if they shut off the servers completely. They did it with the Wii. They completely shut off the servers. You cannot play online anymore. What is going to happen with the 360? 360, PS3. What happens when they shut down the servers and you can't play games online anymore? Guess what? Your online-only games cannot be played anymore. Unless they patch it, which I doubt they will. Because it's just an old, outdated game. But, you know, people like me who like to go back and play older games and not just keep up with the common fad or the common hot topic stuff, they get completely shafted. So it's something to think about. It is very scary. It scares the hell out of me. I can't really go much more on this. I'm gonna have a conniption. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna get out of here. But just tell me what you think about how these multiplayer focused games or these multiplayer only games are completely ruining what developers want to do. It can ruin a game. It's that simple. Online games can ruin a game. That's it. Tell me what you think. Follow me on Twitter if you want. Subscribe if you want more of these type of videos. And I'll catch you later, you. Scumbags.